Knees and toes.
Does shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Monday, December 22nd, 2025. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host, Phil. Episode 398. This time next week, we'll be recording episode 400, which means literally nothing to us. We'll dive into it. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. Coming up this week, we got an interview coming out on Wednesday, breaking down Bandits versus Roughnecks, which will be taking place Sunday night. So we'll be recording Monday and then releasing that on Tuesday. So adjust your calendars accordingly because a rare Sunday game. Power rankings for week 5 and NLL Pick'em will be out on Thursday. Remember, Twitter poll runs from Monday through Wednesday. Vote there. And then the Instagram story poll will be out Tuesday through Wednesday. Vote there. And then Friday we'll be previewing Roughnecks versus Bandits. On today's show, Bills versus Browns, Sabres last 2 games, plus a little bit more movement and some Alex Tuch talk. Week 4 NLL with we almost got them all right this week, Phil. 3 for 4. And then the second all-team Buffalo Bandits. We're drafting. I'm going to preference that a lot. We're going to be drafting the teams. I have the first pick. Phil has the second 2 since I had the second 2 and he had the first pick last time. But just wishing everybody happy holidays. That's why I got my sweater on. Whatever you celebrate, hopefully you're having a great time with family, friends, whoever you're celebrating it with. We'll be recording early on Thursday for the Friday episode to adjust our time frame because we also have to spend some time with our families. Sorry to break it to you. But yeah, hopefully everybody out there is having a happy and festive holiday season, whatever it is that you celebrate. And Bills had a little bit of celebration, I guess, in today's game. I guess Sunday's game when you listen to this. Browns versus Bills. Bills walk away 23-20 victorious in a very ugly game. Wow. Somehow I might still advance in fantasy having Josh Allen as my quarterback. It was pretty much just running, hoping that the defense gets a couple lucky turnovers. But Allen was 12 for 19, 130, 0-0, and 7 for 19 rushing. Cook was 16 for 117 and 2, and majority of that was in the first half. Shakir led all receivers for 4 for 34. Hawes was 2 for 29. I kept watching this game expecting Buffalo to take off, and it just never happened. This turned into a game where we were actually worried at the end if Buffalo was going to be able to walk away victorious, and we were talking about this on the Friday show. There's no way they lose this one, right? And then if they do, it would be a completely different conversation. They walk out of this, and I know a lot of people are saying, you get the win, move on. You can't. Like, with 2 games left, I get it's good that you got the win, but there's such glaring issues with this team. I know that the issues that we've talked about, the checklist, a few things got checked off, but not everything. And you see what is the result when you don't have everything checked off on the checklist. But they got to win. Good for them. But there's a lot of ugliness to this football game.
Yeah, I mean, we can go over the checklist real quick. You won the turnover battle 2-0.
Yep.
So nice job there. Only 5 penalties for 35 yards. One of them, I think, was a face mask for 15. So yep. Not terrible. Cook had a good game. You need that. He had 117 and 2. Defense got the big stop at the end of the game they needed after they gave the ball back to Cleveland. Stops. Finally shut them down after Cleveland was kind of going up and down with ease. They took care of business when they needed to. And that's the main checklist. Allen didn't really do too much, but he didn't turn it over, and he wasn't asked to do too much. They could have done a lot more. Would have been nice, but not asked to do too much. But yeah, there were so many issues during this game as I was watching it, and a lot of it was the exact same mentality you just had of, if this is a playoff game, if this is a more important game, like, these are mistakes you can't be making anymore, and they're just fundamental, simple mistakes that can no longer happen. Like, it can't happen anymore. And a lot of them were, I know it's the Browns and the Bills do this all the time when it's a game that they just don't have a ton of interest in. They seem to play down to their opponents quite often, and we see it again in this one where you almost lose to Shadur Sanders and this not very good Browns team. And they had plenty of opportunities to put it away. I mean, Knox's drop in the end zone.
Oh my God.
I don't know what you're doing.
He was looking into the
plays.
sun, but come on, man. Like,
Yeah,
you alligatored it. Like, a baby alligatored it.
I mean, it hit his hands. He just shut them too quickly. I actually, as weird as it is, and I think it's mainly because they don't have any wide receivers on this team, I don't hate their 3 tight end
They've had a very good
situation.
season with tight ends, yes.
Yeah, like the 3 tight ends they have and the way they spread it around, and they usually come up big when they need to. I have actually liked the way that looked quite a bit, and I think a lot of that is because they don't have a wide receiver, but like Hawes, his big like breaking tackle play out of nowhere, like he's become quietly reliable as a pass catcher for Allen. And then Knox has had big games, Kincaid's had big games, and that toe tap, which we don't have to go over the rules, but had they been able to toe tap that huge catch on the sideline that they called back, like that would have been monstrous for Kincaid. Like, the 3 tight ends have looked really, really good, other than the horrific drop in the end zone. But outside of that, they've looked overall pretty good. It was funny when they showed Allen after that play. He's already got his jacket on, just like walking away. Like, what do you want me to do? I made this amazing play, this great throw, and you can't catch a gimme touchdown. But overall, I thought Rousseau had a really good game. He was flying around back there. I know the Cleveland Brown offensive line is really banged up right now, so it's not overall great, but I mean, there were big moments where he had to step up and get a big sack and a big play, and he was able to do that. And Poyer had another really, really big game as a player that was a late addition to this team. Obviously, he knows everything, but as a veteran, you don't know what he's got left. I mean, look at Tre'Davious White. He's been a bit of a shell of himself. I know he's had a lot of injuries and everything, but when Poyer joined, he was supposed to join as kind of a coach on this team and help, carry some of the younger players, and now he's asked to be in this bigger role, and he's honestly thrived with it quite well. He's been steadily reliable back there, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, I mean, the game started with Cleveland going all the way down the field with ease. It looked ugly. I'm like, oh man, it's going to be another one of those games. St. Brown just scored a touchdown for your brother, so there you go. But yeah, it came down to the second half adjustments again, and that you kind of went over the checklist. The defense got the stops they needed to. The offense did just enough. If they make that extra point, it's a 4-point game instead of a 3-point game, so that does play a factor into it, and we'll get into that. But I thought they made Shadur Sanders look like a really good running quarterback, I should say, when he's not used to being able to do that, and it looked like the Bills had not prepared for that. They got very lucky.
Like Jalen Hurts out there.
Yeah, they got very lucky with Judkins going down the way he did, because he was burning them. It looked like he was going to start burning them. They had the one
Even
big
their
rush.
backup started burning them.
Yeah, the 3rd and 4th string, actually, I think it's the 4th and 5th string running backs were starting to burn them. Fannin is going to be an absolute monster in this league. He looked really good, especially when you can give it to your tight end and have him go in for a touchdown for 1 yard. It looks like they took the passing touchdown away. Good Cook first half. Second half, it looked like they went away from it. Don't know why, but I agree with Poyer. He could. I listened to Sean McDermott's press conference. If they had to go out again, they said he couldn't get back out there. So that is very concerning with 2 games left, because who are you going to toss back there now? It's not. It's going to be Jordan Hancock's, and it's not going to be good. I thought Gregory Rousseau finally came alive. He was finally putting up the numbers that back up the paycheck. Like, a lot of people were complaining that, he's doing more than the stat sheet shows, and that's perfectly fine. You can do the quarterback pressures, whatever. That does count. But what you're getting paid top 20 defensive lineman money, you need the numbers to back it up. And this was his best game all season, best game in a while. I have no complaints about Gregory Rousseau besides the one where he let Shadur Sanders out of it. I don't know how he didn't get him sacked there. But Matt Milano, I thought, played really well. And then The turnovers. I mean, they got critical turnovers. The one, it landed right in Jordan Poyer's hands, but they got the turnovers that they needed. Bad, I thought Josh Allen looked really bad in the second half after he hurt his foot. Like, I don't know how much of that affected him, but that third and fourth down play where he just sailed it over both of those I think it was Shakir that he sailed it over, and then maybe Shavers he sailed it over. It didn't look good. The wide receivers, anybody with a pulse. I don't know why Gabe Davis has been a healthy scratch back-to-back weeks. I am done with Brandon Cooks. He can't catch the ball. I'm good with it. It's gotten me to the point where, I need to see Gabe Davis on the field. If I don't see Gabe Davis on the field, something's wrong. That's a problem. But
is that something you thought you'd say at the beginning of the season?
No, not even close. I never thought I would say Gabe Davis's name again. Bernard, he was terrible. Like, I don't know what you're going to do with that contract. He's fallen off a cliff. Knox, the catch, the baby alligator mouth, it was horrible. Third down defense again. They were letting Shadur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns, like, they could do nothing last week into this game. I mean, the video reviews, originally, they ruled it a safety. On review. Like, the review said that was a safety. And then they reviewed the review, and they said it wasn't a safety. He was down at the one. Like, that, and then Sean McDermott has to challenge it when he's clearly past the line, the first down marker, by like a freaking yard. Like, this video replay system is awful. And then Badgley, like, thank you for your service. See you later. Like, oh my God. Like, how do you not have a kickoff? Like, how do you not read? It's just, he's so bad. Like, there's a reason that the Colts cut you. It's just not good. There are so many bad pieces to this. Yes, you got the win, and maybe we're going to be overcritical, but have been one of the few people, one of the few podcasts out there that have been critical of this team in wins. And most people are like, hey, they're putting up 30 points. Like, they're getting wins, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but how good does it look in those wins? And it's not been good. So we went back to, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you do not get everything off the checklist, wins are going to be very hard to come by. And you got the win 23-20 where you didn't need superhero Allen, but you're going against the 3-win Cleveland Browns. So, I mean, there's not much more I can say to this game. Yeah, it was an ugly game, but they got the win, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, wasn't what you wanted. I don't understand. And it simply seems like they don't have the personnel, but every single team in the NFL knows to run it on the Bills, and they run it on the Bills, and the Bills have zero answer every single
tackling
week.
Is awful. My God.
I don't know how you go into every single game and be like, okay, they're going to run it, and then they run it, and then they do an amazing job. I mean, a combined 160 yards, and half of that was from backups, like you said, backups on backups, and a QB that doesn't normally run the ball as much as he did today and made him look silly. Like, I don't get it. At some point, you have to learn to stop the run. Like, how is it every single week? Like, just that should be the only thing they're practicing all the time. They're like, forget about the pass, worry about the run. And it's the same thing as Cleveland. I think we said Cleveland going into this game had like one of the best pass defenses in the league, and I think the Bills have one of the best pass defenses in the league. Everybody just runs the ball.
Yeah,
there's no reason to throw.
You don't have to throw, that's the numbers lie because you don't need to.
Right. By default, the Bills have a great pass defense, and Cleveland has a great pass defense because you can just run the ball for 200 yards with the ease. Like, I don't know why they're not selling out at all times to stop the run and force a team to throw, and then if you start getting beat by the pass, switch it up. But every single week, it's just the rush over and over and over and over, and they'll do it again next week and the week after. And I think next week you got Barkley coming to town, so even though he's looked a little bit off, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Chargers beat Dallas 34-17. Jags pull off another win, a big win over Denver. They're in contention for the number 1 seed, 34-20. Pittsburgh currently, it's still processing, but they're up by 5 with 5 seconds to go. They snapped the ball like 2 minutes ago, and it's still processing on my phone, so I don't know what's going on in that one. Houston narrowly gets by Las Vegas for some reason, 23-21. Genti goes absolutely bananas on Houston, and he's on my bench. Baltimore versus New England, that's Sunday Night Football, so we do not have those results. And then Indy versus San Francisco, that's Monday night. We do not have those results. So currently, Buffalo is still sitting in that number 6 seed. If the playoffs ended today, or started today, I should say, they'd be heading to Jacksonville, and I do not want that. Buffalo's got to somehow get up to that 5th seed. And I know everybody's still saying, oh, division's still in reach. No, it's not happening. Like, there's no way.
Unless there's some ridiculously massive upset, but that's not going to.
There's no way New England is losing to Jets or Dolphins. It's just not happening.
What do they got? So. Ewers and Cook as the QBs?
Yeah.
It's
not happening. But that will wrap up that one. Bills versus Eagles next week. I told Mackie when she was on the show, because she's a big Eagles fan, we'll have to make a friendly bet, so we'll have to get in a conversation with that one. But looks like, Lions lose. So Steelers win. They're 9-6. I believe they're pretty much as close. If Baltimore loses Sunday night, so you'll know before we do, they're toast. So, there you
Either
go.
way, I think it's pretty likely
It's
at this
very
point
unlikely,
that there's going to be no Lamar, no Burrow, and no Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yeah, and no Gardner Minshew, who also tore his ACL.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't play for Kansas City right now. Move on to the Sabres. Thursday versus Philly. I said they were going to lose. Then that episode aired on Friday, and you already knew that they won 5-3. First period was terrible. Third period was great, but those are the wins they typically would lose, or games they would typically lose. They got the win. It was Quinn Tage. Tage is on an absolute tear right now, scoring, even though it doesn't look like he's actually skating. Osland, shocker, don't send him down. Norris, filthy power play. Great pass by Benson. And then McLeod finishing off, great hustle play by Samuelson. Lyon, again, in net, 4 straight. Then Saturday came. They kind of blew it down the stretch, had to go into overtime. Tuch took a really bad penalty. And then the shootout, I think it went 5 rounds, and they win in a shootout for 5 straight. Dahlin and Tage were the goal scorers. Lyon, 5 straight wins. Shocking what happens when you rely on one goalie and you don't just yank them as soon as they take a loss. Just
and your
stupid.
best goalie.
But they're sitting currently. They're down 1-0 after 1 on Sunday night, so we don't have that result. But they're 16-14-4 on a 5-game winning streak, Phil, and. They made almost no movement in the standings. That's how insane. Like, that's what we meant. It's not the points that you're behind. It's the teams you got to jump. Like, they jumped Toronto and Columbus. Congrats. But you're 1 point back of Pittsburgh, same amount of games played. 2 back of Ottawa, same amount of games played. You're 4 back of Rangers. You have 3 games in hand there. You're 4 back of Panthers. You got a game in hand there. Boston, you're 5 back. You got 2 games in hand there. And then Devils. I mean, you're 5 points back there, 1 game in hand. That's the wild card spot right now. So you're inching forward, but you still got to get some wins, especially on the road. At home, they're 11-5-2 at home, but they're 5-9-2 on the road. They're 7-3 down in the last 10. Like, keep racking these up. Like, even if it's a loser point in overtime, you got to stack these points. Like, you got to keep doing it. You got to get wins in like 8-10. Like, every 5-game segment, you need points in 4 or 5. And you need to have 6 points. You need 3 wins out of those 5, but points in 4. Like, it needs to be happening. You need to get at least 7 out of every 10 points just to slowly start climbing these players. But my question to you, and I know Yarmo is making some moves. Karmanos is gone. He brought in a new associate GM and a new assistant GM. They're bringing in bigger names in the hockey world in that department. And I know a bunch of people are saying, oh, see, he has full reign over this hockey department. I'm not buying that yet. I'm not buying it just a few days into this. But I like that they're bringing in finally some experienced guys for the first time since like the 70s. So I do like those moves, but it comes to question with Yarmo as the lead guy. The biggest talking point right now, besides the 3 goalie system, is Alex Tuch and his contract. And it was rumored once Kevin Adams came out that Tuch wants a ton of money, and Buffalo only wants him around the Tage number. I'll ask you, what is your ideal number for Alex Tuch?
Yeah, you and I went back and forth with this off the podcast, which is always fun. But we think that he's looking probably like a 10-year long, lengthy contract at a lot of money. Yep. And the Sabres, given his age, probably looking closer to a 6-year team-friendly deal where he's going to be making, obviously, like you said, like closer to 7.5 for 6 years where you get him in his prime, and then after that you can get him for an even cheaper deal to finish out his career if he's still going strong. I honestly think that, like, what I would want, I don't know what's going to happen, but what I would want is somewhere around the 8-year mark. I think that's pretty good. You'll have him for, I would assume, the majority of the rest of his career at that point. Maybe sign something super late, but wouldn't really be worried about that. But 8 years gives him some longevity for money, and then I'd probably want around the 8.5 per year mark. And I think the longevity of the deal plus the money per year, I think, makes sense for Tuch as well. I feel like that's somewhere where they can settle. I don't think they're going to get a 6 for 7 per year kind of deal. I think he's going to want more for that, and I don't think they're going to be able to get something that cheap done. So I could see them meeting in the middle at somewhere of 8 years for 8 for 8 or 8 for 8.5, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I fully agree. And as you were talking, it kind of dawned on me that that's what they should do. Like, my ideal in a perfect world, I would go 6 for 9.5. Like that would be the best deal I would offer him.
A little more money, but less years.
And if he says no, trade deadline, it's got to go. You can't lose him for nothing. But as you were talking where you went, okay, if I go 8 years, that means I'm going to drop down your salary. I think give him two options. Go, I'll give you 6 years at 9.5, or I'll give you 8 at 8.5. Like, you can have those extra 2 years. That's extra guaranteed money, but that's less on the cap. Like, I understand Alex Tuch's a hometown guy. I get that. Kevin Adams, the whole tenure, I want guys that want to be here. I get that. And Alex Tuch is kind of like the poster child for that. But if you're going 8 years, he's going to be 38 at the end of that. And I know a lot of people are going like, it doesn't matter, just get to the playoffs. Like, we just want to break the drought. And if he's part of it, who cares what happens in 8 years? Well, I do. Like, we've seen the Samuelsson contract, and yes, he's playing really well right now. The contract's looking better with how he's playing this season. Like, he's a completely different player than he was last year. But Power, is he really worth the money that they signed him at right now? I don't think so. Tage, is that a deal? Yeah, but he doesn't hustle ever. Like, now you got Norris, who's, when he's on the ice, he's on a good deal. Like, but I can't pay Alex Tuch 8 years over $10 million. And I think that's what the price range is probably going to be at. If that's the price, thank you for your service. I know you love Buffalo, but I can't do it with guys like Benson that are going to be coming up that's going to need money. That's Doan that's going to come up that's going to need
those
money.
Those are the big two. It's question for you on those two.
Yeah, I'm going to need money for them. And I know it's just going to be like a shorter term deal, like a 3-year deal just to go through the rest of the RFA, and then they're going to hit big money. And I know the salary cap's going up as well. I hear all the arguments for it. I don't want to be paying another player over $10 million that's not a 100-point player. Like, I can't do that. That to me, if you're up and over 100, unless you're an elite defender, I can't pay you over 10 unless you're getting me over 100 points. I can't do it.
I'll say so. Doan and Benson are both getting bridge deals then, right?
Not bridge, but you don't have to pay him a ton yet. Like, until
RFA is over.
Yeah, and I'm pulling up their numbers now. Who's gonna need a deal next year? Doan's gonna need a deal, and Benson. So they're both gonna need deals coming up. Austin's gonna need a new deal. Rosine's gonna need a new deal. So there are players that need new deals coming up, and
that should be part of this team's future.
Yeah. Kesselring is an RFA next year as long as he stays healthy. So there's a bunch of players. And then, it's just, I can't do it yet. Like, give him a 3-year deal at like $4 million. That'll cover you a bit. But then in 3 years, you're going to need a ton of money for those guys. And again, I know the salary cap's going up, but I can't stomach paying Alex Tuch that amount of money. I know he was making change compared to what he was doing at 4.75 the last few years. But
yeah,
if he really wants over 10 for 8 years, I'm going to say, see you later. Like, we'll see what we can get you at your trade deadline. But I can't do it.
If that's where he is stuck, though, do you think the Sabres let him go, or do you think they pull the trigger and say, fine, we want you here?
I think it depends, because the trade deadline's not until February, maybe early March. I can't remember exactly when it is, but if they're still in it, I think they would want to keep him to try to break this. I know Yarmo kind of said, "Hey, we're not just looking to just break this drought," but I don't know how you can ship him out in the middle of a playoff race if you're truly in it. So I think what Alex Tuch really needs, if he wants to stay here in Buffalo and earn that contract, he needs Buffalo to be in playoff contention by the trade deadline, because I just don't know how you trade him in that. But if you just walk to free agency, I don't know how, you know what I mean? It's like you risk losing him if you don't pay it. I think he's going to, if they're in playoff contention, I think they get a deal done. If they're out of playoff contention, I can see him either having to take less than he wants or him getting shipped out. So it really comes down to what their current standings are in the standings. But that will wrap up Bills and Sabres. Currently with them, they're live playing right now versus New Jersey. Then they play Tuesday versus Ottawa, so we'll have both of those game results on the next show. Hopefully they're up to a 7-game winning streak, but as of this moment, they're down 1-0 after 1 to New Jersey. Phil, before we dive into week 4 of the NLL and second team All Bandits, let's dive into our first sponsor and only sponsor of this episode, Tap That Tap Room at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first woman-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. They offer a variety of malts, seltzers, sours, ciders, and beers. I went backwards this week, Phil.
There you go. Mix it up. PK, we have 2 big events coming up. The first one is the first away game for the season for the Buffalo Bandits. It's about time, and there's no better place to be than Tap That Tap Room to watch the game. They have the sound and the game on every single TV, but it's not so loud that you can't hear and still have a nice conversation at your table. We've talked about this a lot, how it kind of feels like Bandit Land in its own little world where everybody's cheering for the games, everyone's getting up and giving high fives, and it's just such a great atmosphere for the Buffalo Bandits. Like, you go to Bills games, you go to bars, and everyone has that kind of feeling. You don't really get that too often and too many places. They should have more places, but they don't for the Buffalo Bandits. And Tap That Tap Room gives you that kind of hanging out with your friends, hanging out with Bandit fans feel. And they also have free halftime giveaways this year alone, or this week alone, is a Kona Brewery cooler. It's a pretty cool giveaway. They're going to be giving away a cooler by the Kona Brewery. The other thing that I really like about Tap That Tap Room for the games is that there is no bartender. So you can get up, you can go to that wall anytime you want. You don't have to wait in line. You don't have to wait to get your drink. You can just get your drink real quick from whatever massive selection you want and head right back to your seat before the action has changed. You get back in there and you don't miss a beat. And then on Wednesday, the 31st of December, they have the New Year's Eve trivia starting at 7 p.m. And then you can stay for their 2000s themed New Year's Eve party with 2000 hits, drink specials, and noisemakers for the midnight countdown. We're going to keep plugging that away because it's coming up quick. To find out what else they have, you can check out their Facebook page, and to find out what's on tap and what's on deck, you can head to tapthattaproom.com.
Phil, let's move on to week 4 of the NLL. Bandits might not have been in action.
Weird one.
4 games took place? Yeah, 4 games,
Yes,
8
sir.
teams. Started Friday night. I had to leave at halftime because I had a soccer game way out in East Aurora, I think it was. Then I got the result when the soccer was over. I was like, holy cow, what happened? Vancouver defeats Oshawa 8-6. Oshawa led 4-1 after 1, 4-2 at half, and then it came unraveled. It was tied 5-5 after 3. Vancouver would score 6 goals from the 10:54 mark in the third to the 5:09 mark in the fourth. Vancouver 14-5 in faceoffs. They outshot Oshawa outshot Vancouver 54-42. Vancouver, the offense doesn't look good for Vancouver right now. They're still working on it. Dixon, 2 goals. King, 1 and 2. He's kind of disappeared. Ball's been carrying it because I think he's been in the system the longest, so that makes the most sense. Shalom Beatty's 2 assists on 5 shots, but Christian Del Bianco and net shut it down. Oshawa looked like they were trying to figure it out. 4 goals in the first quarter, and then they kind of scored 2 the rest of the game. It wasn't good. Oshawa Simmons 1 for 13 shooting. Kurtz 0 for 9 shooting. Let's see. Williams 1 for 7 and Walker 2 for 9. You gotta feel bad for Jamison, who's putting up elite numbers in net right now and just getting no offensive help whatsoever. He went 34 of 42 in net. They benched Peshko because he had been, we mentioned that in the last episode, where he had no points in all 3 games. They bench him. Doesn't matter. They still only score 6. I don't know what Oshawa needs to do. They probably need to go make a trade and bring in a bruiser to help free these guys up, because they've been relying so much on the outside shooting and either refusing or can't get to the middle. And that's not a recipe for success. I think they thought maybe bringing up, releasing Kyle Jackson and bringing in Corson Keeley, maybe he can rough it up a bit, and they score 6 goals. So obviously that wasn't the issue. I don't know exactly how Oshawa can fix this, but they need to fix it quick. 1-3. I mean, they're off for next week, their first bye week all season, but man, Phil, it's not good, their first season in Oshawa. And the more and more this season progresses, the more and more I'm looking back at last season and going, okay, it wasn't just the defensive injuries. This offense has gotten figured out, and they haven't made the adjustment to get it fixed.
Yeah, it's depressing, honestly. Just more, like you said, for the defense and the goaltending for that team. Like they have clearly figured that out. Like Jameson's playing great, the defense is playing great. Your offense on paper looks fantastic. So they have the makings of a complete team, but the offense just cannot do anything. And it's not a 1-game sample size anymore. It's still very early in the season. Anything can happen. They can easily flip a switch and figure out what's going on. Like you said, make a change, bring someone in, and they could flip it around and still make playoffs and still make some noise. The defense and goaltending give them that opportunity, but their offense needs to do something in a hurry. The Burn goal off that faceoff was one of the greatest goals I've seen in a long time, where he wins the faceoff, flips it to himself, and then gets a breakaway and makes a great move on Del Bianco and scores. I loved that goal. Well, like you said, I mean, they went up 4-2 at half, 4-1 after the first. So after that, they scored 2 goals in 3 quarters. Like you had such a good start and then just collapsed and got shut down the rest of the way. And your goalie and defense held you in for so long in that game. I mean, even the final, I mean, yeah, Vancouver turned it on a little bit, but it was 8-6. You were in the game the entire game, and you just could not do anything to get it figured out, to get some goals. And Vancouver had 3 transition goals. That's definitely something that we kind of know about that team, but something to keep an eye on with Vancouver in general. Even though their offense kind of struggled a bit, their transition was still looking good. And when their offense did score, it looked good. Like the goals they got were pretty elite looking goals and very, I don't want to say like overly fancy, but they look good. They were impressive goals. They weren't kind of like flukes or anything, but 8 goals. I know Oshawa is turning out to be a pretty tough defense, tough goaltending for sure, but 8's not going to be enough in most situations. But Oshawa's offense is a mess.
Yeah, and before we dive into the next one, I know there's been a lot of talk about the scoring and the NLL down, and every team's played at least 2 games now, so very small sample size. But I was in a Discord watching these 3 games on Saturday, and we were kind of talking as we were watching them that, why is the scoring down? And it got me thinking. I made a quick joke. I was like, oh, it's because of the Bandits rule. But then I started thinking, okay, what Phil and I were talking about with the Bandits, quote unquote Bandits rules of where you can't block in the crease, that actually helps goaltenders see the ball better, because now there's not that many players in the crease where if you don't get that block, it's probably past the goaltender. Now that the goalies are seeing the ball better, because you don't have more screens in front of you, including your own players, that could be attributing to it. Then I also started thinking, okay, a lot of offensive pieces moved around this offseason. Like, you don't think about it, but Vancouver's got a whole completely different offense. Colorado, Philly, Buffalo's missing 2 pieces. San Diego's got a different offense. So you go down the list, and a lot of these offensive pieces have flipped teams. The 2 teams, at least the 2, I know Saskatchewan's a little bit different, but the 2 teams at the top of the standings that aren't really struggling putting the ball in the back of the net, I guess Halifax to an extent, I'll exclude them, is Rochester. Rochester's not struggling at all, what did they do this offseason? All they did was add Zed Williams in place of Curtis Knight. They still have all their offensive pieces, and they're averaging 15 goals a game. They're one of the very few teams that are not struggling putting the ball in the offense in the net. So I think there's two parts that, at least to me, I guess there's three, because the third one is early in the season, the defenses are usually in better shape than the offenses are because communication and all that kind of stuff. I think this is going to come back to the mean. I do not think this is going to be one of the lower scoring NLL seasons that we've ever seen. Yeah. But I think early on, you can also look towards the new shot blocking rule because goaltenders see the ball better and all the offensive pieces moving around. They're still working each other in, and all the buys early in the season do not help offenses. So I just wanted to get that out. But move on to the game number 2. This was a fun game to watch for many different reasons. Philly versus Rochester. Rochester wins 15-11. Rochester 5-1 after 1, 7-4 after 2, 11-6 after 3. Philly 23-8. The faceoff dot. Another bad week for faceoff Matter crowd. I want to talk about the game before I talk about what happened in the final minutes, if that works, because I got a question for you. But Lanchbury, 7 assists again. I think he's going to be on pace to be in contention for the assist record. Fields does nothing but 5, 6, and 11. I might have picked the wrong guy to put up 60. McConvey puts in 3. Zed Williams gets on the stat sheet. Smith 4 points. Bassino from the back end scores 3. Hartley 32 of 45 saves. And Hutch did have to come in for a reason. But Philly, I mean, poor day mood, man. 53 more shots put on him, 38 saves. Their offense still doesn't look completely right. They looked a bit better than the week or their first matchup, but it's Rochester's world, and we're all just living in it right now. Their offense is filthy, and I don't know who has the capabilities that's going to be able to go against them and stop them, because now they don't just have the sharpshooters. They have the guys like Smith and Zed that can get in front of the net and play big-bodied ball. It's terrifying in Rochester right now.
Yeah, that's the big takeaway from this game. I know Philly is not the greatest team. You and I picked them to finish dead last, so it's not a mind-blowing victory by any means, but like we just said, scoring's kind of down all over the place, but one team that is just thriving right now is Rochester. Yeah. They look very, very scary. I would say right now they're probably my favorite team in the NLL. I know their defense and goaltending could be a bit better for sure, but we'll see as the season goes on. But their offense, I think right now, as much as we preach goaltending is everything, their offense, I think, could keep up with pretty much anybody at this point. I know it's only a couple games in for them, but they look really, really good early on. But like you said, they don't have too many. They didn't have any changeover really for the most part. They just kind of ran it back. So their team's very similar to how the Bandits normally are in past years, where there's just no turnover, so everybody knows each other, and they just get right to work and start the season by losing to Albany, and then they get to work after that. But no, it was a, like you said, it was a fun game. The end was pretty fantastic. Great for the NLL, but for Philly, like you said, way too many shots. Again, I think it's just going to be a common theme throughout the year, but O'Neill putting up 6 points looks pretty good. Buffalo Joe had another good game as expected, and then Fennell had a good game. So their big three have been doing a pretty good job to start the season, but it's going to be tough to win any game against Rochester, but especially when you're allowing that many shots over and over on your goalie. And then his frustrations boiled over. Yeah,
and when Fennell's your number 3, it's not good. 161 goals left to go for me to be right with my bold prediction. But 2 games through, I'm looking good. But yeah, everybody's talking about the goalie fight. Hartley, man, please. You've had concussion issues. There were 4 different times where he made saves with his head. And the 4th one, he could have easily put up a blocker, but instead he jumped up and went, hi-ya, with his head. Like, what are you doing, man? And then there's a goalie fight. Like, then you're getting punched in the head, man. Like, okay, my question to you is I've said this going into the game, and we tweeted it out, that Hartley, to me, is the most entertaining player in the sport this season. And I've loved him for years. It's not just because of the goalie fights, not just because of that. He's so entertaining in this sport, and he is a big reason. He is the type of player that's going to help grow this league, to me. Like, the unbelievable saves, the acrobatic, like, splits in the net, and then he fights. Like, I saw somebody put out a tweet that since 2014, there's been 2 goalie fights in this league. since Hartley came into this league, he's been in both. Like it's been that way. But the goalie fight was great. I think it's going to get a lot of clicks. The issue is I don't think those clicks are going to translate to more views on the sport. But Damoud, man, like they're both suspended for next game. They're not going to be in the game because you fought under the 5 minutes. How much, and I'm half joking here, how much of Damoud got in that fight by just going like, I don't want to play with Philly next week. That like our next game, I don't want to be in net because I'm just going to get peppered with shots. I'd rather take a few Hartley punches to the face than have to play behind this defense.
Yeah, it's very, very possible, and I feel like he's going to feel like that for most of the.
He got rocked, and credit to him standing in there and taking him. That first punch knocked him down, and then he went in like, I want more, and then he got punched in the face like 3 or 4 more times. Like, God.
Oh, well, he's used to it with the amount of shots he takes every single game. He just it doesn't faze him anymore when he gets hit that many times. Yeah, that first punch where he got kind of knocked over, I was like, no, don't end the fight already. And then he got back up.
Yeah,
he threw
like, okay,
threw a couple good punches himself, and then Hartley ended up taking in. Hartley is just he's a wild man. He is swearing after the fight, and it was a good time. But as far as the most entertaining player, it is probably true. I think for the most part, there's chippiness for sure throughout the league. There's a lot of smack talk on the field. There's a lot of pushing on the field, but there aren't, like you've said in the past, there aren't too many like personalities, and that's what you've liked with Simmons and his comments after the Toronto game. And Fraser with that kind of personality. I know Fraser every single year is on the list of like most hated player, but that's what the NLL needs. And then he ends up getting on Pat McAfee because, I mean, he scores ridiculous goals, but it's also just his antics, his style, but also his swagger about him. Like, that's what this league needs. Like, sometimes it's just too dry with players trying to keep it cool, and like, I mean, it doesn't help that they have 2 jobs, so you don't want to take a black eye going into work the next day. Like, you can't really be out of your job, whatever it is. So I get it. Like, it's hard to push the limit too far, but Hartley, like you said, he's a wild man, and I love him for it. I think the league just needs more of that personality, that swagger. Just as much as it's upsetting when you're the opposing team, it's great from just a plain outsider point of view and like entertainment point of view from the sport. And it's something that the NLL continues to push, even though they say, well, don't fight, that's not good, but if you fight, we'll post it all over our socials because it's good for our sport. So but yeah, love the personalities and love to see it.
Sorry, screen's messing up a little bit here. Okay,
Georgia.
Yeah, my only one comment to that is just don't fake it. Like, if that's your personality,
correct,
roll with it. Don't just do it to do it. Georgia versus Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan wins it 7-4. They were leading 5-1 after 3, and it was on pace to be the lowest scoring NLL regular season game of all time. And all they did was tie the record. Teams were both 0 for 7 on the power play. Saskatchewan does enough to get the win. Chiliano looked really good in net. Shanks gets 2 more goals. Church 4 more assists. And Georgia, Lyle Thompson, 1 assist, 1 point. 2 of 3 games, he's walked away with 1 assist in the game. And I jokingly said it looked like he wasn't, half joking, that he didn't want to be there when Buffalo faced Georgia. This is now 2 of 3 games where he has come out of it with 1 assist. And I know 25% of the goals that went in, he was a part of. But, I mean, 7 shots, no goals. And I know a lot of the defensive schemes are just to take him completely out of it and have other guys beat him. I'm seriously wondering how, if Georgia continues to lose, and I know they beat Oshawa last week, as we're seeing with Oshawa, that's not a big deal. If Georgia continues to lose, do we start hearing more chatter about Lyle Thompson possibly on the move? Because I don't think he re-signs in Georgia. He's a UFA at the end of the season that can reject the franchise tag. So to me, coming out of this one, it's more, if Georgia continues to drop games, when does the smoke turn into a fire that Lyle could be on the move?
And more importantly, if the Buffalo right side continues to look like it currently does, what, like, realistically,
I don't know if they have the firepower to do it. And
I was gonna
honestly,
say it's way too
if
early,
I was the rest of
would
the league, I would just go to Georgia like, no, keep him, because we can just make a sales pitch Why would I trade for him when he can still go to free agency?
Right.
Like, I don't think the value is going to be there for him to get moved, that Georgia would accept it.
I was like,
But
what would
if there
Georgia
is,
need?
I think they're going to need another young forward, another back end piece, and a couple draft picks. Like, to me, you don't move Lyle Thompson unless you get that, regardless of what happens. But if it does come down to he says, I'm not signing back, you need to get whatever you possibly can for him, because you cannot let him leave free agency for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be defensive side, but it'd be like Nielsen a first and something on the defensive end.
It would probably be like a Cam Wires,
Oof,
Nielsen,
hard pass.
and probably one other piece, including a couple first for Lyle, in my opinion. It would take...
And like you said, like
it would be
I
a
said,
tier
lot of the
below
offseason
Christian
is
Del
just-
Bianco to me.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
For any team, like you said, across the league, the all GMs might just be like, just
Yeah.
let it sit and we'll do it next year. But
See what we can do in free agency.
yeah, really gross game. Good goaltending, but yikes. Yeah, like you said, combined 0 for 7 on the power play. No one seemed to want to win this game all that badly. Just a very blah game. Not much to say about that one.
Blah game with blah weather out there. I heard it was really bad, and that's why the attendance was low. But move on to the final game, and this one was a very interesting one, to say the least. Las Vegas, 10-9 win, get their first win of the season. Las Vegas was actually up 9-1 with 2:50 left in the second quarter. Ottawa would score 8 straight to tie it 9-9 with 9:18 to go, and then Jones would have the game winner from a nice pass from Tuch with 2:20 left. Donville looked really good in this one. Frazier had 2, Jones 7 points, Tuch 5 assists. Kells looked unbelievable for the majority of this, making 48 saves. It's kind of the reason why we said you got to go back to him, because if you don't go back to him, you can't go back to him later on. Ottawa,
He heard the haters.
you had Teat go 1 for 20 shooting. Not good. Hellier, another 6-point night. Kiernan, though, 1 goal, 6 shots. You need more from him. Higgins didn't look great in this one. He came back and was able to shut them down and keep them in it, but he allowed 10. He got pulled, came back in, but Ottawa slips to 1-2 on the season. That was their first road game. I had Vegas winning this one. It looked like, or I'm sorry, we all had Ottawa winning this one. It looked like we had a good shot when they were coming all the way back, but this was a very entertaining game to see Las Vegas have that high-flying offense to start, and then Ottawa just start chipping away until they tie it, and then you go almost a full 6 minutes, more than 6 minutes, close to 7 minutes without goal scorers. But yeah, it was an interesting game.
Yeah, the Teat 1 for 20 is just
bananas.
I don't know how often. I know he's having a pretty good season. This is nothing against him in general, but like I don't think he would be able to repeat that again if he tried. Like I feel like on average, if you give Teat 20 shots, he's putting in more than 1 goal. Just a wild stat. But yeah, Kells had an incredible game. I mean, huge bounce back for him, and shows you that they might have a goalie of the future. I mean, 48 saves was really impressive.
They do not.
Hey, give them a shot. They have
for years.
They have a backup of the future in Landon.
A backup of a backup.
But he had a good game. For Vegas, I think the big 3 that came in, Jones, Kluch, and Fraser, all had great games. Yep. But I feel like Donville's going to be a sneaky small, like he's still a big name on that team. He's still a huge part of that team. I'm not saying that, but with the offseason and how it played out, the big 3 offensive pieces came in. I feel like they're the focal point because they're brand new and they're the shiny new toys, and they were a lot of offensive firepower came in. And I feel like all the focus is kind of on them right now in Vegas, and Donville is going to continually put up good numbers and be very steady and consistent for that team. But I feel like his name's going to kind of slip back a little bit compared to the big 3, just because they were all brought in at the same time to kind of overhaul this offense. Like all the spotlight is on those 3 and what they can do because of the offseason that they were brought in. And Donville, who's been a steady contributor for a while there already, I feel like he's going to be still very steady and very solid, but just kind of name-wise fall a little bit behind the other ones. But I think he's going to have a sneaky good season, and I think middle of the year we could be looking at that team and just see him right at the top of their points per game and everything, and just kind of remember that he's still a really, really good player on that team.
Yeah, the only other news around the league was Jack Hanna got offer sheeted from Colorado. Don't know the salary. Don't know based on. There's been some speculation on. Okay, they offered him this sort of thing before the CBA, but he didn't sign it before all that kind of stuff. He's got 72 hours to either. I'm sorry, Vegas has 72 hours to respond. They need to just sign him to whatever offer sheet that was. If he holds out, he holds out, and then they work on a trade down the line. But you can't just let him go because I don't know if they get compensation. If they do, if what the compensation is based on the salary. So by the next show, we'll have more of a steady knowledge of what exactly is, because right now we're still in that waiting period. I think it's Monday night, if I remember correctly, when that 72 hours is up, because I think they did it Friday night. But move on to the final segment of the show, 50 minutes in, so we're going to crank this out. Second Team All Bandits draft. We are drafting 3 forwards, 2 defense/transition players, and 1 goalie. There was a first Team All Bandits draft. So these 12 players are off the table. I'm going to get the first pick. Phil gets the next 2 in this draft. 2 weeks ago we did this. I had JT, Dane, Josh, Priolo, McCready, and Dietrich. Phil had Stainhouse, Banesh, Accursi, Rich Kilgore, Billy D. Smith, and Matt Vince. So those 12 players are off the board. I am on the clock, and with my first pick, I am going to go with the player that so many people yelled us about, and I'm going for the votes. Sorry, but I have to do this. This was the most common name that popped up when people were saying, where is this guy off the list? Why isn't he on this list? So much and so forth. He's 8th on the team in scoring all time with 128. He's 14th in assists at 127, 10th in points at 255, 21st in loose balls at 8th, 21st in loose balls, and 8th in face-off wins. He leads the team in head coach wins and games coached, and his points per game are 4.11. Darius Kilgore coming to the team. That is my first pick. Phil, you get the next 2.
Yeah, I'm staying away from votes. I don't really care.
You really did that last voting too. You stayed away from those votes.
I did. I went for Vince, and nobody understood what a draft was.
Also true.
And was wondering why I had no offense and just Vince, and it was a draft. It was a draft. We'll get over that.
What was it, Phil?
It was I believe it was a draft.
There we go.
We weren't just randomly choosing out of everybody.
Phil. I like sassy Phil.
It's annoying. Just got yelled at so much, like, oh, you have no offense. Okay, well, if you see there's no repeat names on either list, that's suspicious right there. Anyway, I'm going to go with goalie first. I know you and I talked about this. I feel like there are a few goalies still, but I'm going to take the goalie that I want. I'm going Anthony Cosmo. Got to watch him for a little bit at the tail end of his career, and the Cosmo chant was a good time. Still on the bench doing a great job, like Anthony Cosmo. Get my goalie. And then I don't know. There's so many different ways to go next. Again, probably just blowing it up a little bit in this draft, but I'm going to go with a lot of Phil favorites and probably make people real angry. But I'm going to go Mitch DeSnew. He's really, really, really good. He played 80 games for the Bandits already. He is top 25 in games played, which is really hard to remember because he was gone for so long. I kind of forgot even last episode. I know they have a lot of big defenders on their team, but he's really good at defense, and he's played a lot of games from Buffalo. So Mitch DeSnew, taking him early.
Sorry, I'm working on trying to get focused on the camera here.
You're very fuzzy.
I am very, very fuzzy. Sorry, guys. I'm trying. Nope. You're watching
know what
YouTube.
The heck that was,
this is a great time. There we go. I think it's because I keep writing all the names down. All right. So you got a defenseman and a goalie. I have one forward. Who and where do I want to go?
I feel like we said before, this draft's more fun because everybody's the playing field's a lot more level. There's not ridiculously top-heavy names.
Yeah, there's not that clear, obvious name. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these...
There's still some big ones for sure, but it's just not JT and Dane Smith.
I'm going to go... All right, I'll go another forward. Why not? I'll just
Oh,
load up like I did last time. I'm going to go with a guy who's 26 with 77 games played, 10th in goals, which is going to get bumped down very shortly with 102, 18th in assists, 117, 15th in points at 219, 2.85 points per game. Roger Weiss coming to my team.
I do like Vice a lot. He was really, really fun to watch. He had, I think we mentioned this on the last show because, again, players we couldn't choose. He had I think he was one of the ones with like a sidearm missile. He was wild out there. But great choice. I'm not gonna go defense because that would eliminate all my picks would have to be offense.
Phil's
After
learning
that.
this
That kind of
week.
just that would ruin my life. All right, so offense, first offense. There's a lot of offense. You picked Roger Weiss. See, man, I feel like I just really want to blow it up and have a lot of fun and make people upset.
He's on the struggle bus right now.
Yeah, no, well, I know who I want to pick, but it's not a good pick. It's just a fun pick for me. Sure, we're gonna take. Oh man, we're gonna take Mitch Jones. We're gonna keep it going. He almost had 200 points as a Buffalo Bandit. He's also a really, really good forward. 60 games played as a Bandit. Really like him, and I wish he was still on the team, and I'm sad he's gone. But Mitch Jones, again, going with two Mitches is the key to this team. Mitch and Mitch.
I like it. I am deciding between two. I'm not rounding up my forwards because then you can just cherry pick everywhere, I guess. I'll get my first defenseman here, and it's just between two. You know what? No, it's gonna be.
You only have
I'm
two
gonna go-
defensemen left on your list?
No, I'm down to two. Like between two
Oh,
that I
who
would
you
want.
want now.
But I'm gonna pick the third. I'm gonna go out of order here.
Bonus.
People might call me recency biased here, but go look at the numbers and look at the play. I'm going to go with Nick Weiss. He's 7th in games played with 149. And I know some of these are
Real
based
high on my
on
list.
more games in the season than prior, like early on players. I get that. But 55 goals, 109 assists, 164 points, 897 loose balls, which is 7th, 159 caused turnovers, which is 2nd, and he's 11th at faceoff wins with 193. So I got Nick Weiss as my first defenseman.
Yep. He was real high on my list. He's pretty good at lacrosse. I don't know if you knew that about him.
That's why
it
I
seems like
drafted
you
him.
did. Yeah, you picked him.
That's
You
why I
picked him.
drafted him. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I feel like another player we did get yelled at about a lot. I might go here. Another former coach.
Oh, okay.
If that's
Don't do
that's
it.
the way.
That was going to be
the
my next
way.
pick, man.
I want to. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of coaches, but I'm gonna go Troy accordingly on the offense. I need some offense on this team. Yeah, he's also very good. Had a great career as a Bandit. I did not know anything about that career because unlike the people yelling at us, PK and I were very young and didn't go to Bandits games when we were 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years old. But Troy accordingly, also I didn't love him as a coach, for being honest, but he had some pretty good seasons. Really high up on the list for the Buffalo Bandits. So going Troy accordingly.
I believe he's on Calgary's coaching staff, so you'll see him on Sunday. Now, here's the question. Do I round up my defense or my forwards before you get your next one? And I think I'm going to go forwards because there's 2 defensemen I really like, and I'll guarantee get one, and there's only one forward that really appeals to me. And I could go strictly on the numbers, but I don't want to be called recency bias for this one. So all my forwards are going to be from prior years. Sean Williams is coming home.
Okay.
He only played in 58 games, but he scored 99 goals, which was 13th, 132 assists, which is 13th, 231 points, which is tied for 12th, and he averaged just a tick under 4 points a game. Sean Williams, who's going to be in town on January 3rd. Sean Williams is coming to the team. Rounds out my forwards.
He's also coming to town. Who's on? Who do you have right now? I feel like I'm missing one of your players.
My
Weiss,
forwards
never mind.
are Darius Kilgore,
Roger
Weiss, and Sean Williams, and then my one defenseman is Nick Weiss.
Okay, so you're done with
I'm done
forwards.
with forwards.
Okay, so we got to go back to defense. Oh boy. We can go the old school, another one that we were yelled at about by everybody, because why not be yelled at? Or we can go recency bias.
What's funny is the people that yell at us, we laugh at you. Like, we don't care. It doesn't hurt our feelings.
It is true.
What you say on the computer screen, we say to each other and ourselves. So you can't hurt us. It just doesn't work.
Is he holding? Hold 1 second.
Bill's on the hold.
Okay, that is what he is.
He's
I
checking.
feel like that's the way we're gonna go here.
Okay. You're probably going to
We're
take
gonna
one
go
of them.
Jimmy,
Jim Feltman.
Sir Jimmy Veltman. He is defense / transition. Last time I got a transition player. Disney was a bit of a transition player as well, but I feel like Disney was a little bit more locked down. Veltman had a great transition career, 168 points, top 25 for the Bandits as a defenseman. You kind of you love those stats. We're going old school. We're going Veltman.
So he's on my list, but you didn't help me because I'm still between my two defensemen here. And I might just I'm going to buy myself a little time. I'm not going to take one now. I'm going to give myself a little bit more thought. I'll go with my goaltenders because you can only draft forward, so it doesn't matter. There's between a couple, and I'm just going to go with...
Go through all of them, though. Go through all
I'm going to go
of them.
through every name. Hang on. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, your goalies. Hit me up with your favorite. Like, give me some honorable mentions for goalie.
Honorable
'cause
mentions.
We're at that point.
David Aruscio's up there.
Okay.
Ken Montour.
There it is.
Pat O'Toole was in consideration. Bill Geary's in consideration. If I really wanted to pull something out of my butt, I would go Zach Higgins, just not because of what he did here, but what he's doing around the league. But I'm just gonna go with a name that I got yelled at for. Mike Thompson. Mike Thompson will be my goalie.
Yep. I did like Thompson, and then Montour, I think, replaced him for a little bit. Then I started liking Montour.
Dynamic duo there, yeah.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. And then Bouquet snuck in there, I think, at one point.
Yeah, Bouquet's 18 games. Don't look at the numbers; they weren't good.
No. Good Leaf was a good time. Good old.
Don't
Angus.
look at those numbers; they weren't good.
Nope. There was one I was going through today, and I completely forgot what his name was. It was a funny name, and I remember seeing it, and I was like, oh, I remember saying that name, but now it's gone. Okay, so I have just my forward to round
Just
it
your forward
out.
to round it out.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot of options actually for forward here.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these great names. We could probably do a third team. I don't know if we will, but we could.
We don't have a bye for a while. We'll put it on the
true.
maybe pile.
I do wonder if you're going to go with someone a little bit farther down that you're in love with. I'm
not drafting forward, so it doesn't matter.
I'm going to go with someone who I was in love with back in the day. We even had a sign for him because his name was fantastic. I'm going Corey Bomberry. It was Bomberry, and we had 2 bombs on a sign and then a berry, and we had 3 people hold him up when he scored, and it was fantastic.
That was another name we got yelled at for.
Yeah.
I should have used this time to
shot.
consider who I wanted for my last pick, and I didn't. So I'm between 2.
Well, talk it out. It's all over. So
Well, I'm not going to talk it out. Oh, I guess I could. I'm between Kyle Cooling and Chris White, and I don't know which way to go.
Chris White. I love Chris White.
The numbers side with Cooling, but I don't know which way I want to go.
If you want a captain of your team, though, Chris White was an animal. And I believe an actual captain of the team.
Yeah. He's got 3 more games played than Cooling, so that's the way I'll go. Chris White coming to the team.
Yeah, big fan. Big fan of Chris White when he was here.
I just realized 3 of my 6 names start with a W. Williams, Weiss, and White.
And I got 2 Mitches.
Yeah, you got 2 Mitches. But honorable mentions for the forwards. I had Chris Cloutier and Chase Frazier because they're both up there in numbers. Kyle Buchanan's up there in numbers. Dan Teat, Delby Paulus, Jason Crosby, Chad Culp. Those were my honorable mentions. Did I list
where do you put Ian at this point?
Ian, so I still have him That I have him as defense transition still. Like I think just based on 1 year of forward, by the end of his career, if he continues to play forward, he'll be a full-time forward.
That's fair.
But at this moment, he has more time on defense transition, so I had him there. Kyle Cooling obviously was another honorable mention or he wasn't going to be an honorable mention. I thought you were going to take him. Justin Martin's up there for me. Kevin Brownell, just based on the numbers. I do have Ian McKay back there. Jay Thornbert, he's back there based on the forwards and all the other numbers. Clay Hill is up there. And then I already went through all the goalies. Is there anybody I didn't mention for an honorable mention for you?
It's just names I remember. Like Kyle Laverty was a good time. I think you went over Dotsy already.
Yep.
Culp was big. Keto Hill was a really good time for a while as well. The one that I thought you might sneak in, which
Vaughn
I didn't
Harris.
know if you were going to. Huh?
Vaughn Harris.
I was going to say Sean Evans.
He didn't play it long enough here. Like
He did.
I understand why they got rid of him because it didn't mesh well. He couldn't handle the ball at the same time Dane did. I get that. But you need those type of players on your team. I know he's been to so many locker rooms, and people say that's because he's a locker room cancer. But if he was a locker room cancer, why would that many teams want him in their locker room? But he just didn't play enough time here, so I couldn't put him.
That's kind of why I figured you didn't go with him.
So overall,
Connor Fields didn't go with him.
Fields, 1 season. But man, they should have protected him. What would he look like here? I had Darius Kilgore, Roger Weiss, Sean Williams as my forwards, Nick Weiss and Chris White as my defensemen, and Mike Thompson in net. Phil, for his 3 forwards, had Mitch Jones, Troy Cordingley, and Corey Bomberry. I'm never going to be a PA announcer, sorry. Defense, Mitch Jones and Jim Veltman, and then in net, Anthony
Mitch DeSnoo.
Mitch DeSnoo, what did I say?
Mitch Jones again.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, Mitch
The two
DeSnoo rounds out his team. Phil, anything else with this episode before we shut it down and get ready for Bandits versus Roughnecks on Sunday night?
No, I think Darius is definitely going to sway some people. I feel like we have pretty even teams this time.
I agree.
I feel like, again, doing a second team, not having the heavy
second team what?
Top heavy draft.
Thank you.
But no, it was a good time. Fun episode. Stop having bye weeks.
It's a good call by you. Remember, we got an interview coming out on Wednesday previewing Bandits versus Roughnecks. Thursday, NLL Pick'em and Week 4 Power Rankings. Friday will be our preview show. Remember, I know it's the day after Christmas, but maybe you can listen to it as you're cleaning up and taking down all the Christmas decorations. And then remember, next week, Bandits play Sunday night, so we will be recording Monday. The episode will be out Tuesday, so if you're looking for us on Monday, won't be there. We'll be out on Tuesday. Besides that, remember to vote on our polls. Twitter runs Monday through Wednesday, and then Instagram Tuesday through Wednesday if you want to participate in NLL Pick'em. Currently, Phil and the People's Picks, who are you, are in first. I'm in third, 1 game behind. But that will wrap up this episode, and we're shutting it down for another week. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Hopefully everybody out there is having a fun and festive holiday season. We'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.